Hey, welcome to the Closing Beat, everybody. Happy Thursday. How you doing out there? Sorry, running a little bit behind today. Hope you're having a great day out there. This is the Closing Beat Stock Market Update Show where we go over the stock market, all the good, the bad, and the ugly, of course. Not a whole lot of ugly today, so we'll go over all of that and hopefully teach you something new. Got a really cool watch list section today for you to give you a different way of looking at things and kind of give you an idea what we're sharing on our research site, jazzwealth.com/research. Hope you'll check that out. If you can't join us here at Jazz, or go to jazzwealth.com, check us out there. Before I get started, actually, Cliff sent in these Crocs, man. He told me he was going to send something. I got now some Realtree camo Crocs with little insulated things there. So just so you know, man, I've been wearing them all day. These are pretty cool, man. I appreciate it. You guys don't have to send stuff, but it was kind of fun to see something very unexpected come in the mail there. So thank you, Cliff. Really appreciate that. I'll send you an email, of course, to let you know. For the rest of you, you don't have to send stuff. Tonight, by the way, we're doing our Wine and Wealth. One of our customers sent a nice bottle of white wine, so hopefully you can get this open and enjoy it tonight. We're doing our class tonight for customers. We're going to cover warrants. So anyways, that's that. Let's get into the stock market here today. We got another boost from tech, basically. If you look at the Dow, you got a slight gain on the day. S&P, slight gain on the day. NASDAQ, all tech-driven today. If I go over to the charts, we'll take a look and see what's going on. Here's the S&P. Recovered most of yesterday, not quite everything there, but still sitting real near those all-time highs. Apple and Microsoft were your biggest contributors. Bottom line, I mean, I don't know if you like talking about these every single day, but Apple and Microsoft were the big contributors. Apple the biggest, Microsoft the second in the S&P. And there you go. So it's pretty much their participation in the S&P's gains today was about twice that of every other stock if you were to look for those. So that's what's going on out there. Same old, same old. We look over at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ higher on the day, that's just going to be because of Apple. Apple was the biggest contributor, Microsoft was the second biggest, and Tesla was the third biggest contributor in the NASDAQ today, but Tesla did twice as much work, right? Nearly 3 times as much work as all the other stocks out there, and that just shows you the weighting of the NASDAQ. So Tesla up there, I think it got above, where to close at, actually? To close at 2,000? Right at 2,000, huh? So magic number for them. Remember, they've got that split coming up over there. All in all, NASDAQ was a tech-driven rally. That's pretty much what you saw today if you missed everything else. Russell 2000, slight down day there. You saw on the first screen there. Broad weakness in healthcare, financials, and industrials. The small caps, by the way. So if you look at small caps in your mutual funds and 401ks and things like that tonight, you're going to notice small cap value performed the worst. Small cap index funds, like the Russell 2000, were second worst, and the growth funds were basically flat for the day. Small cap growth actually did pretty good. Growth in general, if you have that in your 401k, that'd be your best performer out of the group there. That's what you have as far as the markets go today. FinTips videos. If you like watching our FinTips videos, we got this week large cap dividend funds, a little bit of a watch list, and how to pick some of those stocks off of that watch list. That is public on our YouTube channel. We posted that on Monday. Also public, that came out yesterday, a retirement plan for a 54-year-old, yeah, he was 54, that actually had some money saved up. So different set of consequences or considerations for what that might mean with the taxes and stuff going forward. So we'd like to share that. And tomorrow we've got 4 tips for the small business owner in terms of retirement. Tonight we've got our class, our Wine and Wealth. I'm really excited to try this. He talked it up a little bit. Old Michael out there said, Dr. Mike said this was good. So we'll be trying that tonight. We're going to cover warrants. Our customers have some warrants in their accounts now that were awarded free of charge. And so we're going to go over what that means, different tax consequences, how you might exercise them, or we might exercise them if we do, and just kind of explain what that position means and go over that good stuff. So come hang out with us, grab a glass of wine, and join us in a speakeasy later tonight if you're one of our customers. If you're curious what that class looks like, last week we did the class public. We just opened the doors to everybody so you can kind of see some of the things that we talk about there. And our research site, really cool posts lately. Remember, the research site is if you can't join us here at Jazz and you want to learn how to find stuff, you just don't want somebody throwing stock symbols at you. So what I always do, come up with a list. I'll come up with some form of research. We'll have some basket of stocks, and then we'll break down why you might look one way versus the other. So in the future, when old Dustin isn't around or we close the research site for whatever reason, you'll know how to do it, right? I'll teach you a little bit there. Let's go over to the sector breakdown here for the day and take a look. You like your REITs? You got your REITs out there, they're driving you crazy, right? If you happen to own any series of REITs or any basket, any ETF, boy, those things are just chopping around sideways very difficult to pick the direction here. It's perfectly sideways over the last couple weeks, and that remains the same today. Just toying with you if you happen to be looking at that. The strong names were the ones that recovered the most today. We keep breaking this sector into two different categories, your stronger stocks and then your weaker ones out of the group. American Tower, a nice recovery, at least a little bit here today. Digital Realty, that was a good recovery from yesterday's decline, nearly erasing all of it there. That has been one of the stronger ones overall. And then I thought Public Storage was kind of interesting. Public Storage is not one of the stronger ones, but it just, the way it reversed yesterday kind of let you think like, all right, this one's coming in favor. People were kind of interested in this one for some reason. I didn't catch a whole lot of news on it or anything. Just seemed like one people were interested in. Moving on to the tech stocks here, XLK, if you want to look at that tech, obviously the best performing area out of the markets here today. Not by much, but you got tech stocks and communication services were both the leaders. If you were looking at the sectors as a group, you'd notice those two moved together pretty much all day today. That's Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, and Google, all kind of helping those two sectors, some in others, some in both. You got energy, one of the weaker areas on the day, if not the weakest. Did it finish the weakest? Yeah, it was the weakest sector of the day, down over 2% on the day. It was just notable weakness all day. Didn't really get anything going. ExxonMobil is going to be one of the reasons why, starting to roll over there. Lost 1.5% on the day. And Chevron is the other one, also rolling over. Still inside of a sideways range, so no reason to panic just yet, but rolling over there a little bit. Those two stocks make up 43% of the XLE. So you can understand when ExxonMobil and Chevron make a move, the sector is going to make a move as well. And let's take a look at financials. Working on this pullback from the 200-day moving average, continues to pull back. Just can't find anybody that's interested in that area. It was a broad weakness kind of a day, except for the exchanges. Did you catch our closing beat yesterday where we talked about that? We analyzed those industries inside of the financials to kind of show you the exchanges being the best performing area. It's a great way for me to tell you what's going on without actually telling you what to do and just put it right in front of you. So S&P Global was higher on the day. CME Group even got a little reversal today, and that has been one of the weaker ones of the group there. So I don't know, maybe everybody watched our show. You know, they watched yesterday, they figured out this is what they want to do there, and that happened. So pretty cool there. New highs, new lows. Let's go over to that, take a look and see what's going on there. You got 14 new highs today and a couple really notable names on the list if you want to take a look. Let's go to, no, not DGI. DHI, Dr. Horton. There we go. Finally typing that one in straight. So you've got DHI moving a little bit higher to 52-week highs on the day. I thought that one was interesting. That's in that home builder space. It's in that growth where everything's just on fire right now. We're going to talk about that here in a second in our watch list, but that is the exciting area of the market, or one of them right now. Obviously tech, you can't take away from that. So that was a notable new high on the day, showing good strength. Limited brands, that's going to be earnings related overall. So Limited Brands coming out with earnings that beat by 67 cents, much better than expected. They were expected to report a loss. They came out with 25 cents of a profit. Revenue's better than expected. People obviously already pricing that in. That stock looking pretty sweet there as well. So that's one of them. Another one notable here was Synopsys breaking out over this range here. I thought that was interesting overall. I thought that was a pretty good little breakout. Technical pattern looks strong there. People interested in that one. Volume strong as well. Something to consider if you're a technical trader. Intuit, this is that breakout we talked about the other day. Today's your day. It finally broke out after a series of higher lows. Covered this in great detail earlier in the week. How you see the higher lows equal highs, and when you trade above that, everybody thinks all clear. It's safe to invest now. And so you saw a good volume in Intuit today. That breakout is always nice to follow up with those when we do watch lists, to see what actually happens with these. Adobe also, a little more of a sloppy breakout there, but real strong area today in terms of tech and software and everything. So Adobe was a notable new high out of the 14 that were on the list. Interestingly, Target was the only one that kind of reversed off its highs, and that's just because it's a little extended. No problem there whatsoever. So I don't have any issues with that, and those are your notable new highs on the day. Let's go over to the watch list here and take a look at what we've got today. All right. We're going to break this down a little bit. Just mention home builders, everything looking strong there. Anything related to home builders in the research site, we talked about housing on fire, gave you all those different scenarios. I'll share a little bit of it here with you today. This is actually from the research site. It's the home builder sentiment number. I'm going to go back over here and pop into this guy right here. Home builder sentiment at the highest that we can look back, right? So it's the early 80s there. Home builder sentiment meaning the level of sentiment in building homes, remodeling homes, things like that, and the industry in general. Just incredible. So you're seeing this real kind of excitement there. You go, okay, Maybe I'll buy some home builders. Well, you saw Dr. Horton doing really well up there at those highs. So that gives you an idea. More astute investor would say, all right, I see the home builders. Maybe I'll buy things that are doing well with home builders, and they'll look at things like Home Depot or whatever it may be, or Sherwin-Williams, things like that. All right, that makes sense. And so I totally understand that. If I go over here, missed the initial claims thing. Here's housing starts overall, sharp uptick there. We shared that the other day. Here is building permits as well. So you recognize that this real estate thing is taken off, whether it's new construction, existing remodeling, interior remodeling, all that stuff. So people always say, like, well, where do I go? What do I look for? Well, if you look at the watch list on the right-hand side of the page there, what I'm going to do is pull up lumber prices. Here is the price of lumber. If you just look back over the last 3 months, right, up 131%. So you can understand that, right? We need lumber to build homes. We need those sheets. We need all that great stuff. But where do you invest? And so that's the question today. What if you look at this housing sort of boom that we've got going on in terms of building, and you don't want to buy the obvious stuff. You want to dig a little bit deeper. Well, we're going to go through a little bit of a watch list here so you can take a look. The first one is Weyerhaeuser. You might recognize them from paper. I certainly recognize them from paper. But they are one of the largest timberland owners in the world, right? And so obviously that's important. They're growing the wood that we need. That's a portion of their business. And you can see that stock is obviously doing well, but not really off to the races, right? It hasn't been too extended there. I'll show you one that has done really well. OSB. So sitting at new highs there. OSB is the best performer out of the group that I'm going to share with you here in the stock list there. They sell the actual panels. So when you buy like the 4x8 sheets of wood, the different panels of wood there, they sell them to, like Home Depot and Lowe's, things like that, the home improvement stores. So they're doing well because demand is higher, and a lot of those stores didn't even close down in the first place throughout the virus. So that's maybe an idea for you there. Looking over to Ryanair, this one's kind of consolidating sideways here at the moment, but this is a timber REIT, right? So they don't necessarily go out and sell the products. They're actually growing these what will eventually be wood. And so they're one of the largest timber REIT owners that own different plots of land and stuff here and also in New Zealand as well. I can't speak for the real estate in New Zealand, but they do have property over there. Next, you've got PCH up on the list there. So this one is also a timber REIT. They have more acreage than something like the Ryanair, right? So these guys have like 2 million acres or something. Ryanair's got like 1.6, 1.7 as of their latest update. So they've got a little more exposure, a little more ability to sort of feed the demand that's out there. And maybe that's a name you've never heard of. So I thought I'd share that with you overall. What's the next one? There we go. Wrong button. All right. Ticker symbol UFPI, because I don't have the ticker symbols there, so I'm rattling these off to you. Obviously a very stronger performing stock. These guys sell the lumber that goes into more outdoor stuff. So this would be more in the remodeling side. If you're thinking, I like the idea of people putting on decks in their homes, they're going to work from home, they want an outdoor space and things like that. That's going to be decks, outdoor living, and then also a big piece of their business is in new construction as well. They sell the trusses. So if you ever climb up in your attic and you see the big triangle trusses or the big long straight ones, they sell roof trusses and other things like that. So that also gets you exposure into new construction as well as remodeling, or it could be new construction where they're putting on a deck on a house or something like that as well. All right, keeping going here, just one more, looking at or a couple more. We'll go down here to the bottom. CTT is the ticker symbol. They are a timber REIT, and this is tough. They don't make any money, just so you know. I mean, it could be that they'll recover and all that, but it's one of those REITs that invests in those timberlands, but they don't actually go and plant the trees. They're not like on that level. So they're one of the REITs there. If you like the REIT space, you want to participate in something like that, just be careful with this one. They are not profitable. Lastly, probably a more common one that you've heard of is International Paper. See how they're struggling a little bit, right? This is a paper company. They're struggling because of what? Why would this company maybe be something you want to avoid for right now or wait for a better discount? That's the last lesson here of the day, and that's because higher lumber costs, right? Making paper. Right? So their input cost is higher and is going to be much higher in the next quarter that they report. And because of that, we see the price of lumber. we see this stock and go, ooh, man, I mean, that's good for home builders and all that great stuff. The top stocks that I listed off, not so good for something like International Paper. Domtar, which, by the way, ticker symbol UFS, I don't know why. These guys as well, they make paper, very familiar with their brands, the Cougar brand, the Lynx brand, things like that. That's what they make paper-wise. Their input costs are also going up as well. Something to consider there. This one had a recent pop on earnings. I looked through all their earnings to see what was going on. They have something, what do they call it? Oh, I didn't write it down. So they have a unique technology around their pulp division where they're making like toilet paper and paper towels and things like that. Saw huge demand in that, as you might understand, with the great toilet paper craze of 2020 that we saw. So Domtar was able to perform better than International Paper, and so far continues to do so there. So that's what we want to cover there on a watch list. Hope that helps you. A little different way of looking at things. Instead of taking things at face value and saying home builders are strong, guess I'll buy a home builder. Think of the inputs that go into those homes. Maybe there's opportunity there. And if you're curious, in general, this is a little bit of a different one here, but in general, if you're looking at timber-related companies, they tend to trade about 4 to 5 times the price of timber. Right now, they're trading at 9 times the price of timber, right? So there's one of two things that's going to happen. Either the price of those stocks is going to pull back, you're going to see pullbacks to get more in line with the historical 4 to 5 times average, or you saw that chart of lumber up 131%. Maybe we have lumber pulling back a little bit, which makes these stocks more of a value. So just know that timber stocks trade between 4 and 5 times the price of lumber, and so that's kind of what you got going on there. Different, right? A little different way to explain things today. I hope that helps, and yeah, I don't know, just thought I'd try something different. So give you guys an extra way to get that mind thinking a little bit. All right, that's what we have there. Let's go over to stocks in the news, right? Can I do that? Yeah, a little ticker thing stopped. Can't refresh it. Stocks in the news here today. We got Lyft and Uber. I'm going to just put Lyft up here. What a wild day for Uber, or Lyft and Uber, both of them. Finished up the day 6% higher. Came out today. Lyft said, yeah, we're going to cancel our service in California. We're not even going to operate in California because you guys want us to treat our contractors like employees. We don't want to do that. So we're going to just stop operating as of midnight tonight. Well, then California, it was actually the appeals judge that came out later in the day and said, yeah, no, wait, you can appeal and you can continue to operate while you appeal your case. So stocks just came right off their lows and had a quick rally there towards the end of the day. A little bit of a battle that's been going on there in California, and old Uber and Lyft gave them a strong arm today. Anyways, you got Limited Brands. That's the earnings related thing we talked about just a minute ago. That was in the news today. NVIDIA, that's going to be earnings related as well. NVIDIA beat by 50 cents. We talked about this yesterday. Revenue's good. All in all, very, very strong there. They did raise their guidance. And just a great earnings for them. Really good, like Target and Lowe's, but obviously in a different category. It's just a little extended, right? So you saw every time it tried to get going today, just a little profit taking in there. So it's not that NVIDIA is bad. There's nothing wrong with it or anything. Just not quite ready to go there. Intel, there you go. Intel's going to be doing a stock buyback. Got the shares to move higher today. They're already going to do it, right? They're just going to speed it up. They call it a accelerated buyback. So it's $10 billion. They're going to start buying back more of their shares. I don't blame them. Got a little discount there. Don't blame them for wanting to do that. So anyways, that helped the stock move a little bit higher today. And lastly, I think we've got Salesforce.com. They say, tell you what, everybody that works for Salesforce, you can work from home till 2021. We're not ready for you to come back to work here. Stock was higher on that news. Maybe lower costs. I don't know exactly, but maybe that was the reason everybody's looking at that. A couple other things, and I'll take your questions. If you have questions, feel free to post them now. We'll go ahead and gather them up, see what we can do to help you out. But first, I will say Airbnb is going to go public. I don't know. They filed, supposed to be confidential, but we all know Airbnb is going public, and American Airlines is going to be cutting flights to about like 19 or 20 different locations, including Sioux City, Iowa, darn it. American Airlines cutting in October 1st, if they don't get more money from the government, and the government really isn't agreeing on anything right now, so I don't know. You might want to check some of those routes if you're thinking about flying after October. Tomorrow we got Buckle reporting earnings. John Deere, which is doing much better than Caterpillar, by the way. Foot Locker and JK Solar. You got dividends from 3M, $1.47, UPS, $1.01, and Tractor Supply, 40 cents. Pinduoduo will be taking its place in the NASDAQ here in just 4 days. So there you go. Officially, that is all I have for you here today. Let's see what you have for questions, if I can answer them, and if not, No big deal. All right, do you have any stats on the behavior if the market is approaching month end or if there's any tendency to sell off? Not month end, quarter end is where you see the stats on that. Usually at the end of the quarter, you see the good stocks performing well, even better, and the bad stocks performing worse. And that's used to be called window dressing. Now it's more of an automated thing. But it's the concept of it's the end of the quarter. You have to report to shareholders. You have to report to investors and things. You want to report that obviously everything looks good versus everything looking bad. You don't want to show that you own bad positions and things like that. So end of the quarter, that is typically the response. End of the month, not so much, unless it happens to be triple or quadruple witching, which only happens a couple times a year. There you go. What is causing the lumber spike? Demand. Yep. It's just crazy. Housing markets, building permits, just going crazy. And I wouldn't say that it's like any record high or anything's crazy. It's just that we came from such a level of depressed demand to an immediate reversal like that, kind of like refinances, right? Refinances were, they were all right. We were doing okay. And then all of a sudden things fell apart. Rates started coming down. Everybody wants to refinance. They had to put in special rules. So, yeah, crazy. Seeing lots of arguments on Intel. Some say a buyback shows strength, cash and reserve grade earnings. Others say it's more weakness versus AMD. Look, there's two sides to take here. There's the outside in approach and there's the inside out. If I was working for Intel and I was making these decisions, absolutely. We would buy back shares. I would take any grief that anybody wanted to give me. And I would just be like, oh, come on, that's what we're doing, right? Don't invest in the company if you don't like what we're doing. Which means I would never be inside Intel because I would be too tough, I guess, and people would be mad at me. Now, if you're an outsider looking in, you don't like the share buybacks because it makes it messes with everything, really, but makes it a lot more difficult than just saying, let's pay a dividend, let's pay it back to employees. You could be one of those guys on a political side of the fence where you say, that's not fair, you should pay your employees, you should invest in your business, blah, blah, blah. So there's two sides of the coin there. To me, it just depends on what level of interest you have in Intel, right? If you're working for them or you want the stock to move higher, you want them to perform better, you want them to buy back shares. If you work for them somehow, or you're a believer in rewarding employees or higher minimum wage and things like that, you're going to be on the other side. There's just no way to be in the middle that I can see. Cool. Oh, he's locked up. Okay, I'll go over here and answer the questions and we'll see what we got going on there. Yeah, Airbnb going public is brilliant on their part, right? It's a very friendly IPO market right now. We're not really questioning a lot of companies. We're just investing based on brand, right? Nikola, Beyond Meats, things like that. So for Airbnb, brilliant. Yeah, go for it. Get the money while you can. I say it every time. Companies operate different than we personally operate with our money, and the companies have it right. You can disagree with it, but they have it right. You borrow money and you gather money or get investors when you can, not when you have to, and Airbnb certainly can at this point, with the kind of a friendly environment we're in. Yep. Is it a good time to buy value ETF? Will the value factor start to prevail one day? Value's actually been performing well. I covered this yesterday to kind of show small cap value, not necessarily large cap value, but small cap value was one of the areas that was doing really well and has been doing well just over the last month, 3 months, and so on. So I couldn't argue with you there. No. Yep. Any good electric car stocks other than Tesla and Nikola? Not really, that are liquid. NIO is a popular one. It's Chinese-based. There are a lot of Chinese-based ones, actually, but that's kind of where the excitement's at. You'd really be betting on one of the larger companies here, GM, Ford, etc., to get into that space, and I don't see anything significant at the moment. They may dive into it, Chevy or whatever, General Motors, but they don't have that brand impact that Tesla seems to have right now. That's one of the things that people discount. Is the market going up on lower and lower volume usually a sign that institutional investors are out and the retail investors are the only ones that left? We're getting in, well, this is typically a lower volume time of the year. So the fact that we're going up and the volume is low, it's a little misleading right now. If we start getting into, assuming most schools go back to school and everything, if we start getting into that over the next couple weeks, the volume's still light, now we've got an issue. Yeah. Plus also, why would you sell? Why would there be any aggressive selling? There's no reason for someone, a big investor, to say, I'd like to sell everything. They may be piecing out of it, but other than that, you're kind of just sitting back, letting everything ride. Yeah. I don't know if financials are going to see a big recovery soon. They are not participating at the moment. Last 6-7 days, they just have not participated. Yeah. Is there a record of shares traded in one day? If so, what is it? Couldn't believe the 1 billion today. Maybe going back into the days of Sirius. Maybe Sirius traded a record, or Citigroup during a financial crisis. That probably would rank up there somewhere, because those stocks were so cheap, people would just trade them back and forth every second. So I bet those probably are up there, but I don't know. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out here. Hey, if you're one of our customers, come join us here tonight. Come have a glass of wine with me. We'll talk about warrants, and then I'll stick around as long as you guys have questions, as I always do, and hang out with me. So I'll be in the Speakeasy at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. The email should have already went out. Otherwise, just log into the dojo and go. You should see a red blinking light, or join us in the video library. We'll see you then. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for hanging out with us.